According to Mythos, 100% of you are subscribed. Good job!
Hello, how's it going? Welcome to part 3 of the series where we're going to be going over the lore of every single equation that can be found within Star Rail's Divergent universe human comedy. My god, that felt like a mouthful. That being said, I want to be able to read all of the equations lore before we have this shift from the human comedy into the Protean hero. I have been enjoying a lot reading all the lore in this series. It has been quite enjoyable and it's honestly been so much fun, especially as of right now. We have read the Destruction and the Preservation. The Destruction has been one of my favorite ones to read. Preservation felt really fun. Hunt, I am really excited. There have been a lot of the little lores that I have read beforehand that just looked incredibly interesting, and now seeing them entirely and dissecting them and just trying to figure out, like, more or less in my brain how this would all play out in the world building has been lovely. So I feel like I'm making the introduction far too long. Without any further ado, let us see the lore behind every single equation of the Hunt. The Amensiac. You have lost something very important. It is as though a skilled thief in your brain silently stole your past, ruthlessly digging a hole in your heart. The Cremators, the Holstein Aphasia. You have heard these names before, but never envisioned their presence to be so near. They cut off half of your soul and treat those memories as scrap. Who would tolerate cherished memories being discarded so casually? You trace their shadows, embarking on a quest for wrathful vengeance. No one has control over the memories of others. You are set to reclaim your story, even if it has been callously cremated already. You will seize the merciless thieves and make them pay for their arrogant behavior. The Borderstar Gunslinger. Homicides are common in Heldorion. The smugglers hiding in the Borderstar system carry unforgivable sins of murder. Yet, they are trying to turn this place into a second criminal haven, to which the authorities turn a blind eye. You hack into their goggles, and your assisting machine shifts sideways and shields you from incoming attacks upon receiving commands. The anesthetic gas permeating the room soon deprives the criminals of their ability to resist, allowing you to accomplish the mundane everyday task. You infiltrate into a vicious bioship, incapacitating the glands that are preparing to launch a strike. Wearing an exoskeleton, you charge into illegal Memoria trading dens, engaging in close combat with Harburg mercenaries. These chaotic scenarios of different scales never seem to end. Still, you press on for the peace of Heldorion. The Departing Wanderer. It takes constant vigilance to stave off evil. Beneath the canopy of stars, treachery and evil lurks in every corner, while justice is limited in reach. How can a body of flesh and blood withstand the onslaught of interstellar pirates? How can a metal skeleton overthrow a crumbling interstellar empire? If we seek to cleanse the universe, we must rise beyond the confines of individuality. The incubator replicated infinitely you, clad in armor, etching in memories. You march towards the infinite stars in your name. You'll arrive at the scene of the Silverheart crime, calling for reinforcements after bullets tear through you. You'll step into ravaged edge worlds, slaying huge monsters by sheer force of numbers, like a swarm of ants killing an elephant. You will die countless times. You have already died countless times. But new wanderers will always rise from the nest and continue the hunt. Okay, I know my bias will be showing, but I think so far every single equation that we have covered in this series, my favorite ones have been from either the elation or the propagation as like the subpath. This one feels so creepy. Like, this is essentially a vigilante that has found a way to just multiply, duplicate, like just propagate infinitely. And just imagine being a criminal, murdering the guy, and then seeing 7 of them appear out of nowhere. That is horrifying. The Pacifist, the Carmite army ants, the silicon eating flowers, and the ever-present Colchis. The hyper-distant delivery technique not only facilitates large-scale trading of goods, but also the migration of countless species. They hide in cargo crates and even the sleeves or even the stomachs of the guests, sleeping past quarantine checks unnoticed. As a result, clusters of fungi engulf the stars, and the spreading red tide leaves the ocean suffocating. You move between different nodes, following their trace, and racking your brain for ways to eliminate the creatures that do not belong here. The parasitic wild bees infest the ants, and the poisonous rain burns the surface of the flowers. Different situations call for different actions. While it is not too late to salvage the situation, you need to act decisively to nip the problem in the bud and restore peace to the stars. I'm not gonna lie, I really like this equation because it genuinely does remind me of the conflict that can be seen between the Xianzhou and the Abundance. Just having these sort of parasitic entities that take over the host bodies just feels very on brand for this equation to exist like this. The Rehearser. An outstanding hunter never makes the first move. They direct their prey and wait patiently for the prey to fall into their trap. You fire a shot into the empty distance before you and begin your 10-second countdown. 2 hours ago, he decided to take public transport to the debate venue instead of a floating ship because of an Intellitron diviner's prediction. 1 hour ago, a routine inspection of the capsule pipeline led to a half-an-hour delay which caused him to grow extremely anxious and rush to the venue himself, regardless of manners and presentation. 2 minutes ago, his opponent's unyielding demeanor caused him to grow unsettled and he ventured outside to take some fresh air, as he always does in these situations. However, he came outside to an unfortunate encounter with his political rival. He was able to be cordial and exchange fake pleasantries for about 7 to 9 minutes. Then, in 9 seconds, the bullet would meet him in its trajectory. Okay, a little embarrassing, but I still feel like this has to be said. I got confused at the very beginning. I got so hyped for no reason at all, because even though I clearly know I read 10-second countdown, my brain thought it was like a 10-year countdown. And if you guys have been here for the Curio series, there is a Curio called 10 light year foresight where this galaxy, no, like, I'm not sure, no, I don't know the words. I don't remember if it was like a galaxy ranger or just a random gunslinger, but this person legitimately just shot a bullet and knew that in 10 light years, that bullet would strike the enemy that he was meaning to hit. And I love that. The Bounty Hunter. You reveal the leaderboard with a bang and snap a photo. Ka-ching! Out goes the cash. As the most famous hunter of Comet Bar, you only take the riskiest deals, unlike those cowards who only bully the weak. There are plenty of outlaws on the run in this vast cosmos, and they are walking bags of cash waiting for you to reap when you capture them. You blast open the spaceships of the interstellar pirates and effortlessly eliminate the guards charging your way. Their lousy marksmanship leaves a gaping hole in your prosthetic body, making your job slightly more challenging. You kick a green toad out of your way and do a head count according to the wanted posters. A bearded cockroach, a birdman covered in steel armor, and a few unsightly fellows. You pull the trigger, already calculating how many days you'll be able to live and purchase joy with these jobs' rewards. The Court of Homogeneity. Another judgment is about to begin, but you already know the conclusion. When humans use countless concepts to explain sin, only equal and opposite revenge can truly solve all conundrum of morality. The court summons shall arrive alongside the sound of cannon fire, and the destruction of the court illustrates true primal justice. They who steal personal belongings would have their bodies eradicated by a beam of light. The recompense shall be calculated from their destroyed remains. They who invade any other's home with war would have their home planet kissed by slaughter. The number to be destroyed shall be calculated by the number of the dead. Not one credit shall be paid in excess, and not one drop of blood shall be forgotten. As you slam the gavel of judgment, the trial needs not proceed. The great ship of the court has already taken flight to deliver justice to the entire universe. I really enjoyed this one. The combination, I feel like this would be like a triple path, okay? Because legitimately speaking, we have the combination of the hunt, where they're trying to hunt down people that have wronged the world with a sense of justice that I genuinely adore as a concept for the hunt. You have the destruction, where they're literally just wreaking havoc to whoever decides to be a criminal. But then there's also implementations of the equilibrium, and just seeing the fact that there is this sort of like need to make the world even again just feels so incredible. This is my favorite one so far. The Disaster-Halting Mechanism. The aging of celestial bodies, the swarm suffering from famine, and the wandering silicon-eating bacteria. Disasters take place in the universe all the time. Even though the Omen Vanguards are doing their best to help with the Finality's guidance, they hardly have the capacity to attend to all disasters that strike at unexpected times. You traverse the universe, collecting data of the future from the subtle changes, searching for the tragic end that is about to be born. Even acting a second before the disaster's arrival can save countless lives. You divert the neutral particle stream from the coronova explosion away using the magnetic fields, and blast the swarm when it's halfway through its journey to help the evacuation of Linda 3's residents. Where there's a will, there is a way, and no fate is set in stone. You are always on the move, just to get the upper hand in the battle against death, where time is of the essence. The fiction's Arbiter. What sins are more farcical than fiction? The traitor who betrayed an organic world, who personally executed the general who attempted to surrender, became the savior of the third battle of Skylanders. The bandit who swindled 12 Borderstar systems, draining all of their money dry, became a philanthropist rarely seen in the cosmos. After 100 years, where would be the line between good and evil? You lack the calm of a candlegraph historian and are still lost in the recklessness of fixing truth. As long as sin is not judged, the falsified deeds will continue. You will shatter their quills, bind their hands and feet, and etch judgment into their bones. It will be a long journey of vengeance for the wrong-deed souls, forming a blood sacrifice to fiction. The Bionic Messiah. The universe is a web, and life is its patterns. Every time life is destroyed, the Loom's shuttle shall trace along the trails of tears to seal the wounds that have not yet spread. You place yourself inside the Silver Needle and traverse the wastelands of Ladikline, jabbing into the bodies of refugees of war, strangling pathological cells and extracting fatal ailments. You place yourself into the Red Thread and float through the pollution zone of the Kuvita Nebula, entangling the genes of the refugees, connecting the survival of the race, and repairing their genetic rifts. There is no place that is free from war and disaster, and the shuttle never stops. As you rush towards any place from which you hear the sounds of crying, you stitch the web of life and use it to shelter humanity from disease and hardship. One day, it will be torn apart, but you will repair it again and again until there are no more laments in the universe. You sit atop a freezing cold stone. As the seawater erodes the wound on your leg, the pain of the inflammation makes you anxious. However, the people before you do not permit you to show such emotions. As the weaver that roams the universe, all you can offer them is hope, and it must be hope alone. The water people crawl out from the ocean, risking becoming stranded on the beaches to bring their malnourished children before you. The adults constantly pour seawater onto the bodies of the sick to prevent them from drying out in the sun. Stitch up their wounds. You pull crude tools from your bag and try to treat your patients as tenderly as possible. As the sunken spaceships descend to the depths, this was all they were able to help you retrieve. The tentacles slap against the sea waves. They are expressing joy at your arrival. Of course, you do not tell them just how many shuttles were unable to make it through the antimatter minefield in the sky. And, on the coastline across from you, the battle between water and land people wages on ceaselessly. You see a dyed red ocean. The cost of this war, ushered in by cannon fire beyond the sky, must be covered with lives on the ground. Though you can stitch the wounds on their bodies and heal their sickness, the resentment beyond all this is nigh on impossible to eradicate. A number of tentacles clamber forth to offer you food, and this is the only payment they can offer you. However, your eyes never move from the skies. The split in the clouds grows ever more vast until it is finally torn asunder by a fleet of spaceships, like a thread. When the gap in the fabric is too vast to be stitched together, the only choice left is to weave death for those that destroy it. This has been one of my favorite equations to read out loud from The Hunt. In particular because I have loved how the equation felt more abundance-like, because it was like a doctor trying to help out people, and to a certain extent, it had a mission, it had a drive. I love that, but it didn't really connect with me until the end of the extrapolation rewind. And I love how this entity tries to care for others, but if it goes to the point where they can no longer care for them, they will avenge them. And that just seemed so freaking cool. Also, maybe I'm over analyzing all of this, but just the explanation of there being sea people and land people at war really sounds a lot like Lusaka. So I'm really hoping that this does have some tie-ins with that particular planet. The Molten Knight. From the moment you open your eyes in the incubator, the armor that has appeared countless times in the Queen's dream is once again displayed before you. You reach out with your hands, and they wobble slightly from the unfamiliarity of using your body for the first time. Your fingers caress the cold steel of the armor's surface as it's harking your anticipation. A resplendent fire spins around it and slowly spreads out, attaching itself to you and becoming a part of you forever. You eliminate all of your enemies, disintegrate them into ashes, and ignite your thruster. The behaviors etch into your DNA, then start to be executed. You hurtle headfirst into the swarm, swiftly locking on to the weakest chin in their armor, and the fiery curtain shrouds the skyline, illuminating the horizon of the falling Cresta. The roar of slaughter echoes out non-stop into your consciousness as you reap out the monster's heart, as if you've already practiced this move 1,000 times over, like a larva that knows how to feast from the day it is hatched. The waves of silver stings seem as though they'll never finish. The light of the stars has yet to fall, and the recaptured Kaliman colony had already returned to the frenzied buzzing of the insectoids. You take off your armor and beat your heart forcefully, trying to use pain to stimulate your deteriorating body. If only you could just hold on one more time. As long as you can take back this star system, you'd even be happy to disappear into an entropy reaction. The broken torsos drift off, silently eye on the surface of Nihility's sea, and you can't tell whether it's armor or a wing sheath. Before support arrives, you decide to bring the knight for one last fight. Smash the flank of the swarm, piercing your armor with their poisonous sting barbs. The bugs quickly break up your body tissue, which is then neutralized by the potion injected by the armor. Fierce firepower holds down the enemy assault, but the never-ending stream of insects manifests themselves into an iron curtain that is constantly peeling off, which slowly rolls closer to you. Tear them down open from the inside. Broken wings and mandibles poke into your armor, and a piercing roar envelops you, just like the horrible shrieks that keep you up at night. They push and shove and they pounce towards you, each bug trying to taste the delicious snack delivered straight into their door. The remaining fireflies already bespeak of your doomed fate. You use the last remnant of your consciousness to boost the thrusters to max power. The overload temperature is enough to even scorch someone who's been with the armor for years, like yourself. Farewell, comrade. The summer bugs have never seen snow before. In a daze, you see a glowing bug landing on the back of your hand, as though it had been waiting here for a long time. You gently stroke its thorax as you walk off gleaming into the eternal darkness. Wow, that one became so depressing so freaking quickly. Genuinely, like, I'm pretty sure this is probably what happened during that Firefly Myriad Celestia trailer, you know, where she's like fighting all the bugs. Maybe this is the one that like sacrificed itself. That is super dark though, especially all the descriptions of how this person was being poisoned alive, eaten alive. Like, it just, Jesus Christ. And again, just the propagation keeps on popping off every time that they appear as a subpath. The Galaxy Ranger. You are living in the worst times right now. Sin and evil are widespread throughout the star, and justice does not prevail. They say violence is never the solution to your problems, but when the arm of righteousness is sorely absent, you will discover no hesitation in pulling the trigger. An eye for an eye, blood for blood. That is the fundamental law of nature of the world. You extract your gun chamber from the beast's maw, meticulously polishing it to maintain its pristine condition. You are on a path to vanquish evil right in its cradle as it desires to expand. Search and destroy is your bread and butter, and hunting is your life's dessert. The moguls terrorizing their local areas see you as a thorn in their side. They live in fear at the mere glimpse of your figure when they awake from their worst nightmares. The rampant warmongers spew proclamations to brew you into a fine wine and scatter your liquid remains across space. But when they really do face off against you, they can only slink away in cowardice. You will become a sharpened sword that hangs over the center of the cosmos, a blade that thrusts right through the hubris of evil. Surrounded by 4 termination units, you flee and blow away the obstacles beneath you, leaping off into the engine room of the spaceship. No matter how advanced the termination unit's weaponry is, they wouldn't dare to wield it in such a confined space. That is, unless the owners want to kiss goodbye to a little ranger like you, and the rest of the universe itself. Not to mention, trying to move around at their size is like jamming an elephant into your fridge. Lifting your head, you look at the blood-red thermal imaging sensors and let out a provocative roar. Bring it on! As though aggravated by your words, the termination units complete their dazzling transformation in an extremely short period of time. Shedding their excess devices, they keep folding themselves up, just like the noblesse worms with legs, laughing maniacally as they free fall towards you. Didn't that darn Dr. No-Ears get his brains blown out? Were things really that desperate? The dense rays fall with precision onto your body as the force field scatters the rays out just enough to give the antimatter engine a haircut. No room! Back up! The hook lands right at the entrance, pulling you just over the top of the termination units. With no flight gear, they probably won't be catching up to you for a while. Who would have guessed that vile fellow, racked with guilt as he was, not only hid the victim of the experiment in a metal pod, but is in fact a cyborg turtle, half flesh, half steel? Whistling, you quietly slip over to Dr. No-Ears, who has yet to recover from his fright. Bang! You squat down to give Thing a careful examination. This shot finally got you some results. So yeah, with that, we have gone over the lore of every single equation from the Path of the Hunt that can be found in the Divergent universe. And in all honesty, this was a blast. I had so much fun reading all the way through. In particular, again, my bias will still show, but I adore any equation that has the propagation as their subpath. And I feel like that is probably because I am a huge fan of cosmic horror. So having these elements be sort of like appearing in the grand picture of things is both terrifying but also something that I appreciate a lot. And I do hope that we get to see more of this like terrifying side of the universe at some point within future patches in Star Rail. I feel like when they introduced the Swarm in that like Argenti storyline, it was one of my favorite like tropes. So yeah, definitely I need more of that. That being said, in terms of the hunt, I do like that every single one of them had that drive to like do something, you know, like they wanted to eradicate something that was harmful for their planet, or just they wanted vengeance and wanted to make sure that they would eliminate a specific target. And that is something that I do genuinely enjoy, and I feel like that is sort of like one of the big differences between the destruction and the hunt. The hunt specifically targets people, like every single faction goes for someone in particular. I guess the Galaxy Rangers are a little bit more broad because they're there for justice, but I still feel like for the most part they have like that same goal in mind that is for the greater good, as opposed to destruction that's just like, let's just blow everything up. So I don't know, I would love to know down in the comments which ones have been your favorite equations to learn about, which ones you thought were really cool, disturbing, creepy, amazing, yada yada yada. I genuinely love to interact with you guys down in the comments, and every single time I have made some of these videos, you all are just so supportive and kind, and I really appreciate all of you guys. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching all the way up to this point into the video. I keep yapping way too much. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.